What about you, Sent?
No, I think Princess was pretty thorough on this one, right? I'll double a bit on the healthcare one because what we've seen in Nigeria, like over the years, is the people in power tend to, like the people in public offices tend to fly both themselves and their families out of the country when they have some health challenge, right? So they just leave for like countries with better healthcare, right? And neglect their basic responsibility. It's happened over the years. Citizens have cried out in various forms. The really good thing about this virus is all borders are closed. Everybody is in the country. Now everyone has to use that hospital that you were meant to build, including your mom, right? And we've seen this, like, yes, it is a really, to me, it's the most positive part of the entire thing, right? The fact that those basic amenities that we've asked you as the health minister, as we've asked you as the minister of health, we've asked you as the president, as the vice president, as somebody to help fix, you've neglected because you could always fly out of the country. Now you can no longer fly out. We're all going to share that dilapidated center that you call the Center for Disease Control. We're all going there. We're all going to face the fact that there are less than 300 ventilators in the entire country, right? We're all going to face this head on. So, what is definitely going to happen after now is that the healthcare decision conversations is going to be taken as seriously as war conversations have been taken,
Wow,
and
good. Wow.
people are going to turn focus there or start asking about, and this is not just in Nigeria, right? I think in 2017, I think the US has also slash budgets cost for organizations that were for one major organization that was trying to figure out how best to create the universal vaccine, right? Just because no one took it that seriously, even though people like Bill Gates have been crying wolf from like day one, right? I think now everybody's going to see that not just fund, like the military received more funding than healthcare in almost every country, right? Yeah, it's like it feels like the biggest threat could be missiles. Yes, now Corona has shown us that there might be biological threats that we're just not getting prepared for. That's one. Secondly, and it goes back to the conversation you had. So the points you raised earlier about like um, people like the homeless shelters and people in with the with and the lower end of the stick being catered to more. So now it's like you can be the most hygienic person on the planet, right? You can be the most careful person on the planet. If the guy guarding your gates is careless, if the janitor in the office is careless, if the guy who sells the ice cream shop down the road is careless, you could be in the way of harm, right? So it would force everybody to be less selfish, even though they are less selfish for selfish reasons. They still have to be less selfish, right? Um, yes. What is happening for the first time? So there is something that, as an engineer, I've kind of complained about in Nigeria. Most engineering companies tend to take the there's a word for it. So I'm trying to remember where okay, not so abundant mentality, right? Like if I innovate, it's for myself, right? I'm going to try to use it to get ahead economically. And the concept of open source and stuff hasn't been very prominent for the first time.
Mm.
Right now, I'm working with like two lecturers like in a university, um, former engineers for different companies, and everyone has been sharing information, trying to figure out the best way to develop low cost ventilators, right? That is something that almost never happens, right? Everyone is so keen on trying to trademark, trade secrets, so like, but now it's literally it's an existential issue. So everyone is forced to share information. I hope it builds a culture that lasts. The last thing I want to talk about is the entire remote culture. So before now, of course, I've been working remotely for over 4 years now. So I'm a huge advocate for people working from home, not just because it's convenient, which it is, but because I feel like a huge part of societal decadence generally is the fact that people don't see their family members as much as they should, right? Princess mentioned that a lot of divorces will be filed. Here's what I think. I think a lot of people would want to file divorces the first 1 month. And when they stay at home 3 more months, they'll realize that a lot of issues that they were going to walk out the door for would be solvable if they just sit down on the same table, right? So I feel like there's going
Yeah.
to be a lot of attempts. Yes, there's a little bit of attempts to solve. There are lots of divorce issues that you hear about and realize that if these people had just spoken a few minutes more, just a few minutes more, they could have resolved this thing, right? So you're gonna see people getting closer together because they have to. Um, yeah, you're gonna see families getting better children, getting the right parenting, and this is something like I feel very old school saying this, but there are lots of like kids that grow up practically without parents and then practically without any values passed down, probably because the parents are never around, right? When now I think parents would get to get that fathering done, that mothering done, or whatever it is done, and companies would, moving out of this, be a lot more receptive to remote work as not just another type of work, but being equally effective in some job descriptions as the person actually coming to the office, right? So yes, I'm looking forward to more of that just because I think it's going to lead to healthier families, it's going to lead to healthier people, right? It's going to lead to like a general better quality of life.
Absolutely. Um, Thank you both so much. I mean, so many of the things that you just said, basically what it comes down to, all these good things is sharing, collaboration, and caring more about each other. And it's what a lot of, like you both just said, and I can't wait for all of those things that you just talked about. What you were mentioning though about the healthcare and like it's basically a shift in priorities.